now, the conclusion.
This is James,
Yes, I am James.
the better known of the James Taylors.
Actually, probably the third most famous.
The third most famous.
Third most famous. We'll get to whatever you want to do. You can lead, because I know I've got a tendency to start.
I actually was driving over here and I was just like, this is supposed to be my podcast.
But it'll
Straight up,
become
James is going to host this podcast today.
I find it very difficult to let somebody else take charge of things.
If you use like half of one of these, you're just going to be like, and a whole pot of chili.
We're girls doing a podcast about stand-up comedy.
Stand-up comedy.
It's out on a limb.
We're out on a limb.
So, like, you were talking about Winged Ox. How did, tell me your insights
Was that the next
upon this?
question you were wanting to do, or were you wanting to do the
Nah,
quickfire ones?
I was the one of that quickfire, were they?
We can try and quickfire through the rest if you want first. Quickfire through them, and then we'll go into that, because that will be a long discussion.
Oh, I've got to say, because you've re-hosted again here.
I know.
It's like, this is supposed to make me look good.
You go.
Right. So, do you have any kind of historic, old school?
You know, I was thinking about that when I listened to it yesterday, and
And I
and
info dump about Lenny Bruce for half an hour.
yeah, and Chris is like, I really enjoy Norman Wisdom and Laurel and Hardy, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? We're getting back 100 years.
I was really like, I mean, I thought I was going back when I went 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah,
but
I'm going fucking current in comparison.
Yeah.
Like my absolute favourite people, like, even though they didn't do a lot of stand up, and I've not watched a lot of the stand up they did, is like I love Rick Mail and Ed Edmondson. Love both of them. The young ones, Bottom, all of that shit,
Yeah.
man. But they did do the live shows, Bottom, so I would consider it almost the same thing for stand up.
I think you could just say comedy is fine.
Yeah,
as a
man, like
general
they're my
thing.
favourites, you know, and I love the League of Gentlemen, Reece Shearsmith, Steve Pemberton, who I found out were in Glasgow a couple of weeks ago, and nobody ever bothered to fucking tell me.
Oh, sorry.
I know, nobody fucking told me. Raging, man. Like, I saw the pictures and I was like,
What the fuck?
what the fuck? Why didn't anybody mention this? Like, love them, man. Love the two of them. Inside Number 9, both really good. What other stuff? Obviously, going way back, I love watching Kevin Smith doing his talks, that kind of stuff, because he's really funny when he does that. I love his movies, which then led me into loving the podcast Tell 'em Steve Dave, and finally getting to meet the people in the podcast, which was life changing for me.
But not Kevin Smith.
Never met Kevin Smith.
No, I met Kevin Smith.
Yeah, I met Tell 'em and Steve Dave.
Tell him, Steve Dave.
I never met fucking Q from Impractical Jokers, obviously, because he's too famous at this point. But if they ever come back to Glasgow, I'm going to try him. Oh, I love Impractical Jokers.
It's fine. It's not. It's not that. It's like.
I think I've got the connection because I knew who Q was before he did the Impractical Jokers.
See, that's the thing, is I guess for me, when I kind of stumbled across it, and I was probably 15 or something, it was just on at a mate's house. I was just like, it's like, ask her to take your passport picture, and you're just like, it's like, yeah, it's kind of funny. See, if you were doing this with your mates, you would be absolutely dying. But I think
it sometimes doesn't translate as well. Yeah,
aye,
there's some really good ones, man.
yeah, there is, yeah. But no, I was always in terms of that sort of prank type stuff, I was always much more along the lines of Jackass was my favourite thing.
Aye, that's out there as a comedy outlet.
Yeah, it's a stretch possibly for comedy.
It's not too far from my joke about wanting to, shitting myself, really, because Steve-O did that on the Impractical Jokers cruise this year. He shat himself on stage.
Steve-O is
he's sober.
He's do you know what? He's one of my favourite people on this planet.
Yeah.
I actually have a weird obsession with him, where I was because he does his Facebook videos and stuff now, and I just sit and watch him talk, and I just love his wee voice, and I actually have dreams where I just hear Steve-O talking to me, and I just genuinely, I love Jackass so much. I remember the I would have been like, you keep us on time, James.
Yeah, I was just double checking.
Yeah. I remember being 12 years old, sitting in my living room. We'd been watching Family Guy or something, me and my brother. And then next thing to come on was Jackass 2. And I was like, oh, what? I've heard of this. I mean, I know people have talked about it, but I've not seen it. What is it? And he was like, Katie, you're gonna love it. And my dad at 3 a.m. came downstairs and he went, you do need to shut up. I'm trying to sleep. Because we were both sitting there crying, howling with laughter, and their bed was like above the living room. We're just like,
You're like, he's just put a fucking fish hook through his mouth. He's pretending to be a fish.
I don't know why, because it's really, I mean, it's not that funny, but it is that funny.
Yeah, there's something about it, isn't there?
I think it's just me being like, it's funny because I don't think I like come across this way, but my youthfulness was very focused on it. It's been a 90s kid really in it, but it was around that kind of skater, Tony Hawk Skater Pro, WrestleMania, kind of all of that same stuff, like that culture.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Jackass was obviously a skater show in its own weird way.
Well, they had real skaters in it.
Yeah, like Tony Hawk.
And Bam Margera was a skater.
Oh yeah, you forget. He did a show at the...
Oh, it was a disaster, the whole thing.
Did you go?
No, I knew it was going to be a disaster, so I didn't go.
What happened?
He ended up having a fight with somebody and they cancelled the entire tour, and apparently he was then spotted in Easter House after it. No. It's like the stories are wild.
What, like it's Slay?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was.
Yeah. Like,
which is weird in itself.
And then, I mean, he's obviously a mentally ill guy and like an alcoholic and all this kind of stuff, so like, he should have never been doing it in the first place. I knew it was going to be a disaster, so I was like, I'm not going to go to this.
Aye. It's a real, yeah. I mean, it's a pure shame.
Mm-hmm.
Just the whole thing, because obviously he was going to be in the last Jackass movie.
Well, he was.
They said on the condition that it was like that he would be sober, and then
they never lasted through the filming because you see him in one of them, but
Aye.
it never focuses on him. You just see him in the background there.
Because he was going to do it. It's such a shame.
Well, you need to sort your life out, don't you?
You're a savage, aren't you? You're just like,
I don't know, man. Like sometimes you just need to, like, if you don't want to help them, fair enough.
yeah, no, I do agree. I mean,
But there's people out there clearly exploiting them at this point, which I think is unfair.
Aye, and I think those guys don't want to be those people, the Jackass guys, which is why they won't have anything. And it's just because it's. I don't even think it's like a, oh, you're going to wreck our reputation thing. I think it because I mean, what reputation? They are pretty fucking out there as people go, but just like
I think they're
they care about
relatively respected at this point
yeah,
because they do normal things generally, apart from Steve-O shitting on a cruise.
aye, Johnny Knoxville's been in some pretty good movies recently, like that Adventure.
I wouldn't say it was good.
I liked that film.
It was alright.
I watched it once. I can't say
no.
I was probably intoxicated at the time.
You get
but-
injured more on that film than they did in the entirety of Jackass.
which shows you how safe that park must have been.
Mm.
Anyway, this is back to this was supposed to be quick fire.
I was waiting.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just rambling. Aye, so the other question I'd ask Chris, and this is all just off the top of my head, trying to remember what I'd said before, was you've said your purpose for doing stand up is to to get on what's McCollum's podcast.
No, the Christopher McArthur Boyd, so that I can talk about the darkness. He's already spoke about Permission to Land, so if you're ever listening, we can talk about One Way Ticket to Hell and Back. I bought the vinyl, cost me £150. That's how much you're a fan of him.
Why did it cost £150?
Because it's been out of print since 2006.
My God.
Yeah, so that's just...
You really like the darkness.
Well, I'm going to see them again, so I could talk about them for days on end.
I know, I
but
shouldn't even get you started.
No, we shouldn't talk about them just in the off chance. I'm with my Justin Hawkins.
I did see that, actually.
Who I saw in the Glee Club, which is my now goal, is to perform on that stage, and then I'll be like, Justin was here.
Me and Justin. Aye, so...
Yeah, so like I have more real purpose than that, but is that because I do writing and I want to continue doing writing, I do a lot of script writing for uni and just as a bit of fun. So I've wrote some sketches, I've wrote sitcom ideas, I've wrote horror stuff that somehow became comedic.
That's the best kind of horror.
Yeah. Like,
Shaun of the Dead.
it actually came from a real story that I read as well, that horror one. I'm not going to get into it, but everything ends up just being comedic that I write because I'm always like, how funny is this fucking... Because I can never take anything too seriously while I'm like writing it down, so I end up just becoming a bit funny, and that's the kind of thing that I enjoy the most. But what I found was I had finished up college, because I went back to college and I was doing writing, and I was doing a lot of humorous stuff then. I was like, I'm really enjoying this. Saw about the stand-up comedy stuff, and I was like, that's a different way to try and portray your humour. How about you give that a try? And it's the immediate feedback in the editing process that I really enjoy about stand-up comedy, opposed to the notoriety, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy about the process and just the enjoyment and the performing on stage and having an outlet, but it's more so the immediate feedback, because if you're doing writing, you don't get immediate feedback ever, and that is the one way that I've found that you're getting immediate feedback for your writing. Somebody's like, haha, that's funny. You're like, alright, that's good then. And you don't really find that with a lot of other things. The only other thing that I compared it to was poetry. If you do poetry slams, or you just do poetry readings, which I have been to one recently, and
Was it good?
it was in Blackfriars.
I'm not surprised by that. I mean, it makes
I
sense.
suggested to the person that was hosting it, because they were hosting it for their project,
Mm-hmm.
that they should do it in Blackfriars, and I enjoyed it. I'd never been to one before, and I really enjoyed it.
It's got such that sort of weird liberal arts bullshitty hipster thing about it, like poetry slams, and it's the it
wasn't quite like that. It was just people reading their poetry at this one, thankfully.
That's the kind of perspective that it has on it. But I really love reading. I love hearing people's poetry, and especially when it's performed by the author. Because I've wrote a lot of poetry. I mean, that does not sound surprising for me, I think.
No, I'm not shocked.
Yeah, but I've written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stuff, but it's that thing of immediate feedback. Is because I don't get immediate feedback, I never share it really.
I could hit you up with some people that do poetry nights if you're wanting to do one of them. It's something different, which you would find yourself in a different situation, and I think it could only help your stand up or either or, really, because they're both beneficial.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like you said, it's not necessarily about having national notoriety of being a well-known stand-up, but I think as a creative, you're just always growing your skills, and it's like, it started as me singing and acting and dancing as a kid, and then learning how to do audio, and then learning how to do video editing, and learning how to do graphic design from there, and then all of the painting and art and all that stuff through it. So there's hundreds of stuff that I'm able to do, and you just keep going into different avenues, and then it pushes, everything's transferable, so it always helps your skills in other areas. Like even studying business communications at one point is one of the reasons I think that I can do comedy now, and I wouldn't have been able to do it before, is because I learned how to be more concise.
I think that working in a bar has made it easier for me.
How come?
Because I already have a captive audience in that regard. So when I'm serving people, I'll have this almost fake personality, or showbiz James, as he was once described as, and you kind of just put it on a bit, so you're just talking to people, and they're always either listening, or if you find the odd person that just talks at you, it's completely different, obviously. But I find that being in that situation where you're almost on a platform, I found that the transferring from that to the stand-up comedy was actually no different for me.
Yeah,
for some people, for some people, I imagine it would be very difficult, but I never found that wholly difficult. I find it difficult applying for things, not being there and doing them.
The administrative part of it.
Yeah, I fucking hate all that stuff.
It's annoying, yeah. Sharing that you're doing stuff, advertising it, all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do marketing, and I hate doing it. I hate having to say, come and see me, come and see my show. Because folk are either going to come or they're not going to come, but also if you don't put it out there, then nobody knows. And
exactly.
It's
you just need to keep at it sometimes, but I got a good crowd, so.
Yeah, yours was really busy.
Yeah, it was.
What did you do for the process of that? Then you obviously.
So you want to talk about the Wits of Wing Docs
Let's
now,
do it.
right? Okay, so
because we're already an hour in.
Yeah, we're fucking cutting it. So what Wits of Wing Docs was my way of taking what was my editing and publication project for my second semester in my master's degree in creative writing, and I thought to myself, what do I want to do for this project? And I had saw that people in previous years had done poetry events, and I was like, stand-up comedy is no fucking different.
Yeah.
If they are doing that, then there's no reason that I can't do this. And I was like, and there's so much that I can do. And it was also just a way for me to justify being able to work on it, because I couldn't last semester. Like, when last semester was finished, that was the same week that my second Blackfriars show was, and I was like crumbling by the end of that week.
Aye.
And I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it, but I was like, you know what, just pull yourself out and do it. And I'd wrote some new stuff for it as well, so it was hard trying to remember it all. But so What's the Wing Docs was my way of justifying trying to be able to write more comedy and do some more stand-up comedy. And my process for that was that I'll just find a place to do it, which happened to be St. Luke's, and just get people that I know generally, but I also wanted to use other ways, because then it would sound good in the report, you know, because you don't want to just be like, I knew all these people already, because anybody can kind of do that, and then it just becomes a bit of a disaster. But thankfully, the people that agreed first and foremost were the people that had been on Viv's course with me, and I was happy with the ones that had decided to come along. There was other ones that I would have liked to have done it as well, but they just weren't available for it. But the people that did want to do it are seriously out there working. By the time they'd done my show, somebody like Colette had already done like 50 odd shows, which is insane. In 6 months.
Yeah, that's really intensive.
You know, 6 months to 10-ish months or something like that, which is insane. And I was like, this will be my fourth.
Well, because I've done in 6 months, I've done like 30.
That's still a lot.
That's
you know?
great. It says but that's been hard work.
Exactly, and that's
So-
why I couldn't justify it.
Yeah.
I'm seeing everybody doing these things, and I'm working a job where I work weekends so that I can do my master's stuff during the week. And I was like, right, I can justify it now if I do this. And then I spoke to you, and you were like, I've got this show on. Do you want to do that? And I was like, good, I can do that. Then it
Warm
makes
up.
me warm up quickly again for it. And it was fine. I enjoyed that. And then what was really good about that one was that I wrote more material on the day of your show. So that ended up being better for when I ended up doing my one, which the hosting is difficult, man.
Yeah,
It
hosting's
is
tough.
rough. I think I'll do it one more time just to try, but I don't know if it's for me.
If you don't want to do it, I'm quite happy to do it. I like doing it.
I'll do it again the next time.
yeah,
But if
go.
there's a third, I'm not doing it again. I don't think. I've already said this. I was like, I'll do it a second time.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, but I
I
knew
love hosting. I'm just a hyperactive weirdo, so I can just say whatever and it sort of works.
But for that
Just
show,
do
I
a wee
just
dance.
wanted to do as much as possible. I wanted to organise it. I wanted to get the crew of people. I wanted to get the write some stuff. I wanted to do some of my own material in between, which, you know, if you're trying to do it to a crowd of people as well, that a lot of them already know you. I wasn't able to do the general hosting thing because I found that difficult to be like, you over there, sir, who are you? Because I knew so many people that were there, and trying to pick out people that I didn't know
Yeah.
was actually more difficult than...
I found it, see, because I mean, I've hosted before, but not like comedy hosted. Like I've just been, and the next person coming on is, thank you for coming out. Here's the raffle, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. But the Crash Course Cabaret, doing the first one that you were at, it was, I did a lot of my own material,
Yep.
and I would throw in little jokes between, which is fine. Like that's what you do. You throw in little stupid one-liners, whatever. But I didn't do a huge amount of the like crowd worky stuff because I just didn't know what to
Bungalow's
do.
hard for that, man. Like, as soon as I walked on the stage, I was like, I can't see
It's very dark.
anyone.
Yeah.
I was like, I know there's people there, but I can't see half of these people.
I did that last one that I did, the Pride one, which I mean it ended up going really well, thankfully.
It
Even
looked
though
like a more eclectic bill as well than the first one.
yeah, I mean, well, it was. I mean, we had the drag performance as well, which helped, and then had singing, but we had singing at the first one and stuff. But it's just quite weirdly, yeah, so many comics are willing to do stuff, but try to get other folk isn't, which is odd because I've my whole life known musicians and performers who are just constantly wanting to get stage time. So I was like, it's weird that the comics are, and these are good comics, like people who are doing regular gigs, and they're only getting a door split, which is a few quid really if it doesn't go that well. But it wasn't that busy. There was probably only like 7 folk or something in the audience.
For the
But,
second one?
Yeah, it was.
But
It just
which-
landed up. It, just,
There was like roughly about 50 the first time as well.
it was. There was. I think 30ish. Maybe.
But then you add on who
Aye,
else was
and
there,
then-
so we took it up to close to the 50 mark,
Aye.
which was a decent-ish crowd.
But yeah, so you've got the performance. So you're talking. It's still like 15 people or something like that. So it's not awful, but like weirdly, they were all so into it. Everybody really got into it, and I was doing a lot more of the like, who are you? What's your? Why are you here? And it like, even though it's not like I have badoom jokes to reply to them with,
Yeah.
like just your general personality kind of helps. If you just make like a stupid comment and like laugh it off and say like, you know, it doesn't need to be a punchline, and folk will still enjoy it. And that is the part that I like about hosting, is it's more about just being like fruity.
For mines, it would end up just being a series of put downs. So that's
Yeah.
why I was like, I can't do that on this one. But the show went really well, I thought, and the people that performed were all really good. And one person pulled it, which was fine.
That's
They had their own reasons. and I'm
Very
fine
rare
with that. But it was
to only have
actually, actually very beneficial that they had pulled it. So like they shouldn't feel bad about it. In the end of the day, no, because they were crap or whatever. But it was just that timing wise, it actually worked out better. I would cut down the bill next time. It was pretty fucking. It was heavy, but I just for the first one I needed enough for my project.
to write it out and
Yeah,
say,
that's
"I've
it.
done this."
And now I've done it. I'm like, well, now I can do it real,
Yes,
opposed to
you can
this-
just enjoy it as an event organisation
Yeah,
thing, as opposed to there's pressure on me to hit these criteria,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
other than just event criteria. So your sketch stuff, what kind of sketch stuff do you write?
Oh, sketches, man. I've not done them for a while now because I've been working on like a sitcom idea, a mockumentary about a vegan straight edge hardcore band for a few years, and I've been writing this for a long time now.
You must have, because that is an old niche at this point, because that was maybe like 2015 2016 vegan straight edge hardcore was at peak.
That joke probably came from me and my mates about 2018ish,
Yeah.
and then I started actually just writing it back in 22.
I mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't work, like just because it's an
No,
older
but
thing, but
they are a vegan straight edge hardcore band, but they aren't as well, is the thing.
Yeah.
It's like they think they are, but they're really not, and it's just like a funny mockumentary idea. I love Spinal Tap, I love Bad News, love all that stuff, so I just wanted to write that, and I've been working on that recently. Sketches, but I wrote a couple of sketches and I came up with this Scottish bounty hunter idea that,
right.
like,
Douglas the Bounty Hunter.
it was just, to me, it was just bizarre, the whole concept, and I like that bizarre conceptualization. So for the first one that I wrote, he basically rappels in through like a up and downstairs house, but it's the upstairs part, so he rappels in through the window and he's pointing like he's fucking guns or whatever, which all of this is clearly illegal, but it's made part of the joke. And he's like pointing the guns, but it's this really elderly couple for this first one that I ever wrote, and the old guy's just lying there like fucking dribbling away, and they're like, what the fuck? And because the idea of the bounty hunter is it's like a reality show for that one as well, but it's a sketch. The camera crew are following him around, but the camera crew have obviously had to rappel in, and the camera's like fucking and there's a camera crew guy outside that starts running up the stairs because they've managed to kick the door down and that kind of thing. But as they've kicked the door down, the old woman's running down the stairs like as fast as she can. But then you see the camera crew guy get up in the inside house and run over to the window with the bounty hunter guy, and you see the woman running and jumping over the hedges like a horse kind of thing, like Grand National style. And she falls, and they're like, "Well, we can get her now, we can get her." So they run and get her, and they find her on the other side of the hedge, and she's broke her leg, and she's screaming in agony in the background. He's like, "Right, that's us done for this week. Just remember, this is what happens if you don't pay your TV license, blah, blah, blah." So she's lying there fucking screaming like, I think I'm going to die. And he's just like wrapping up the show. But then there was another one that I had came up with an idea with, and I can't remember all it just now, unfortunately, but I was walking home one day, and I thought it would be funny if he was involved in a Crime Watch style show, and they would show all these bizarre clips of like really mundane things on this Crime Watch style show, and the idea came from, I wanted the guy to say, "Welcome to Crime Doddle, where we make solving crime a doddle."
That's very Mitchell and Webb type humour like that.
So eventually they just go through all these random crimes, and one of them was like Siamese twins arguing with each other at a bus stop, and just like really fucking nonsense crimes, because like they can't solve any of them. But then it's like the bounty of the week, and the bounty of the week that week was actually the host of the show, and they start like, these showgirls bring out a guillotine, and he's like, "What the fuck, this is too far," kind of thing. They're like, "Well, you shouldn't have done the crime, adultery, blah blah." He's like, "This is a joke, this is ridiculous." They hook him up, and they're going to pull the thing, and they're like, "Ah, we got you."
This is actually a prank show.
So that was one of the sketches.
Like that.
Another one I had thought of that never came to fruition for me was that I wanted to own Alexandra Park, just really low budget one, right? Because these ones are obviously right up there, but this one was really low budget, and it was just like me getting mosh fit ready for download, and just being like in the field in the park, running around in circles and stuff, and just doing reps on the wee machines
Just
you get in park, being
shoulder
like
barging
at
grannies.
the end, be like Slayer. And then at the end it'd be like, "So who you like really buzzing to see?" And I'd be like, "Busted."
Of course.
So just something like super low budget was another one. And like I say, I do other writing, but one of the ones that I had to do for my project was like a crime fiction course, and I really enjoyed doing that one. So I wrote it set in Glasgow 1967. It's the week leading up to Celtic winning the European Cup, and only a minor part of it is really that. It's just I wanted it to have a sense of place more than anything. And I'd read another book that was around about the same period about London, and I thought, you know, it'd be really good if I did this. But what I found interesting about that when I was getting the feedback in the workshop classes is that no matter how hard I try, there's still elements of humour, which is fine, because adding elements of humour into anything makes something human. And we talked in depth about that in crime fiction, because it's like, can it all just be serious? Can it all be serious? But one of the lines that people really enjoyed was that I wrote that the person that had a face like a lunch lady with a life full of regrets or something like that, and they're like, "That's quite funny." And there was another one that I can't remember off the top of my head, but like I just end up writing comedy stuff in almost everything that I do at this point, and I wish I could turn it off. I wish I could just be serious.
sincere.
I wish I could just be like, "Yeah, well, he stabbed him and then like cut his throat, and then they disposed of the body, and then there's like no humour." Like, I'd like that, but that just never happened. It's like do at the end.
It's like cut open his body, and it's like his entrails exploded out of him like a floating wavable arm flying.
Exactly.
Man. Like, you just can't help but see the funny. I think that's great though. I mean, that's the best way to life, innit? But yeah, like
Sometimes it would be nice to tone it back,
Yeah.
but in that I managed to keep it sprinkled rather than being a whole comedic piece. And like I said to you there, I'd wrote like a short idea for like a horror thing while I was in college, and although it wasn't meant to be inherently funny, it became funny. And I never wrote it to be funny, but the lecturer was like, "That's quite funny, that giant lizard idea."
you're like, great.
I was like, no, it's no. I was like, you know, it can still be fucking scary. Just because it's like long lived lizard Liz doesn't mean that.
I think that all horror is really easily comicable though. Like,
Yeah.
it's parody. There's so many parodies of horror for exactly that reason.
Yeah, but when you see it, know when it's written down on the page.
All hail the lizard called Liz. Is that what you said?
Aye, it was because there was that woman somewhere, Scotland, can't remember, not anywhere near Glasgow, like way up. She had a chippy, and she put up a video on Facebook, this woman, and she cracked open a bottle of Prosecco and was like, "Lizard Liz is dead." And I had wrote this horror thing where a guy visits like a really fucking out in the middle of nowhere chippy, because it was in a chippy, the real story. Like, he goes and visits this chippy, apparently it's the best one, he's a food blogger. And it turns out that this woman that runs the chippy is actually a lizard, and she's like, "Long live Lizard Liz."
It's a fucking Stephen King novel.
But it's not meant
When
to
I
be
heard
funny.
it, like-
And she was like, oh, like, that's quite funny, James. I was like, it's not meant to be. Fuck off.
But, you know, like that, like you say with the crime one, like those sprinkles of humour are a good thing. Like Fallout, have you watched the series?
I've watched a few of
It's-
them so far.
It's just like the whole way. Obviously, it's supposed to be quite a serious thing, but sometimes it just cracks me up because there's wee things like, so she leaves the vault and there's guys trying to catch her, and they're not like bad guys, they're just guys through the vault trying to protect her, and they chase her up, and then they see the vault close as she's just walked through, and then one of the guys just goes, well, that went well. And you're just like, this is a serious moment and just broken by humanity, like you say.
Yeah, like sprinkling it throughout, perfectly fine.
Yeah. Lizard Liz.
Lizard Liz, that one seemed to just be a wee bit too far for me. It was very early in my writing serious phase anyway.
Yeah, it's practice, isn't it?
Where I didn't know what I wanted to write, but I started to realise I was very good at the humorous stuff and coming up with just these over the top ideas, and it's like people being like, what the fuck? You know?
But you know that, like, that would be really good as a sketch as well if you were to do. It's, you set it as horror, you make it so realistic as you're filming it, and then right at the end she like becomes you've got the smoke of the broiling fat, like
You
and she-
100% could.
Lizard Liz.
You 100% could, but there was a real fucking eerie horror element to it where there was a human being sold as the fish and all that, and people on meat hooks, but the lizard woman is in the back as a lizard instead of what she was previously presenting herself as a human. And I'm like, it wasn't meant to be funny.
I tried really hard at this. Like,
Aye.
you've done me dirty there.
I've not thought about this one for a while, to be fair.
Just remember the great
And
Lizard Liz.
see with the vegan straight edge hardcore one as well.
Yes.
Like, see when it came to the Christmas of that year when I had started writing the pilot episode, just to kind of keep working on it. I write other episodes, even though you're never going to get them out there, kind of thing. You're only ever going to pitch the pilot. I just write the other ones as practice and just coming up with
Character
ideas and
development
character
and stuff,
development for myself. I wrote a Christmas episode.
I love that.
Yeah, I wrote a Christmas episode. It's fucking wild.
So how many episodes of this you wrote?
Nearly 3. The pilot I'm going to rework on again,
Aye.
and I'm going to try and
Because as you develop the other episodes and
yeah,
stuff,
like
you
they would
want
never
to-
end up being used if it was
Yeah.
ever picked up and commissioned as a
Just
series.
practice,
It's
innit?
just practice, and it saves me from having to come up with an entirely new idea. Is the thing.
Yeah.
The Christmas one, however, I think if I tweaked it enough, it could be a thing on its own.
Yeah.
Because the idea behind the Christmas one is that the documentary for the band had been finished, and this was more of a standard sitcom episode.
Right.
So it was just, as a sitcom rather than following them around. But I think I could change it and change names and change some of the characterization, and I could make it something else. But to me, I was just like, I want to write a Christmas episode or something. I think that's funny.
I like the idea that you would do. It's been a mockumentary, and then you do the Christmas episode, but it's actually all shot as home family videos. Like the band just live together as a family.
There's actually very little music involved in the Christmas one. It's actually more of an adventure, which the one that I'm working on now is actually an adventure one as well.
I think it's brilliant though, because I just like, I write a lot of ideas and like start writing stuff, and then it just kind of fades out, and I never come back to it, and it's just
It's hard to keep on top of them, man.
Yeah.
But I've got the motivation with these ones because I really enjoy it, and I enjoy what the concept is, and just being able to throw out the random jokes like making fun of Morrissey, or just being like, let's cover Limp Bizkit as one of the lines in it, and
like
just
a slight death clock
Yeah.
kind of vibe to it.
there's also random stuff in it where they had to play like a Battle of the Bands situation. They have to do a Battle of the Bands situation where they perform in an Orange Lodge, and it ends up being like Shaun of the Dead.
That's fucking brilliant. Who's at your door?
I don't know, probably nobody. I'm not answering.
Just some cunt.
They see whoever it is
Just a lazy cunt, didn't he buzz the right door?
probably, or probably just press the service one. That's what
Sickening.
I know.
Sickening.
I know.
What other things did you want to talk about?
I think we covered a lot of them, to be honest.
Because you've got about
'cause, like-
25 sheets of
No, it's just
waitress
wee
paper there.
tiny bits. So you had like Rex Omnivore was the thing I was talking about there. That's his name. The lead singer's Rex Omnivore. He's a vegan.
They call him T.
No, I don't really have much. I've got a couple of shows that I'm going to do soon.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to round it up.
Yeah, I'm going to do. I signed up for the Laurel Awards
Oh,
one.
good.
Did
What
you?
date you doing it?
I'm doing the 29th of June.
So this won't be out by then.
No.
But I am the 15th of June for that because I'm away.
Which is right now next week.
Yes,
Because I'm
I suppose it is.
at download for that one. That's why I never.
Yeah.
So 29th of June, I believe it is. I decided to do that because I saw it and I was like, that sounds like a really fun thing.
I think a lot of folk are
But
doing it.
do you know what really cemented it for me? It's when I saw that the final, one of the judges is Tony Roper. And I have like really good memories of watching Rapsy Nesbitt and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And I was like, even if I get to say hello to him,
that would be cool.
I think that would be cool kind of thing. If I make it to the final,
Yeah.
is the thing. It's like, that's an assumption that anybody enjoys my fucking Breaking My Ribs story, Lee Harvey Oswald.
It's only 5 minutes as well, so it's got to be
Yeah.
your best 5, and like that's.
Which is basically my material. Like, I don't have a lot.
Do you
Anyway, nah, I don't have a hell of a
See,
lot. I
I've-
can cut it down anyway.
If I did everything up, I probably have like 20 minutes, but I don't. They're not 20. It's not a tight 20. You know what I
No,
mean?
God, no. Like, if I did my Christmas stuff, and I'd be way up there.
Oh yeah.
But like, my Christmas stuff is seasonal.
I try and always write. I write a joke every gig, like to start us off. Like when I'm in the venue, I get to the venue, I write my opener there, because I like to just kind of. I've got backups if I can't think of one, but it's like. So I just add them to the list of things.
Yeah, I like to write sometimes on the day, which probably isn't the greatest idea.
I can never remember stuff. I can remember one line,
Well,
like an opening line.
I had wrote that entire thing about the young teams on the day of the bungalow.
Oh, the young team stuff's
Aye.
so good. You
And
would have thought that was done.
And Lucha came up to me and he was like, I really enjoyed that. And I was like, I wrote that this afternoon.
It was really good.
Aye.
It's really good. So what else after that? What's in July? Tell the kids.
We've penciled in Wits of Wing Docs 2.
Yes.
I need to find more people for it, and I've just not got round to bothering my arse to do it, to be honest with you.
Even though
But
I gave you like
should.
7 folk or something.
Oh yeah, no,
I'm
we need.
practically a lineup.
I've got one person that I've cemented, but I'm looking to make it a completely different lineup as a thing.
Yeah, that's
I don't
good.
want to keep it the same people as last time, because although everybody was very good, I want to have a unique lineup for a second one, pretty
Yes.
much.
Awesome. Well, keep an eye out for James's next What's a Wing Docs at St. Luke's, or well, the Wing Docs.
It's in the Wing Docs, it's not in St. Luke's, but it sounds good on paper
If
when
you
you say
say
St.
St.
Luke's
Luke's.
and the Wing Docs.
It's like you're basically going to St. Luke's.
You're just not on the big stage.
Yeah.
You're on the small stage. Because like there's an event on in there today, and it's there's people on in the St. Luke's stage and on the Wing Docs stage.
Oh, that's kind of
And they're not going to be like, well, we didn't play St. Luke's. They're going to say we played St. Luke's.
Yeah, why not?
Because Nick knows what the Wing Docs is. Because every time people come in, they're like, are you part of that building next door?
It's, like,
You
it's the
can
same
literally-
building.
You can literally walk into it. You
It
know?
used to be you would get in for that door, like to the
It's
toilet.
insane, man. It's insane sometimes with people. They're just clueless about architecture.
ridiculous human beings.
Yeah.
Just unaware. Anyway, thank you very much for sitting
problem.
and jabbering in this stream of consciousness that we've done. We did manage to actually get some questions, but doing this, I've now realised why I had to edit All Star Super Nerd so much.
Because I just start thinking about something and I go off like talking
I mean, I do too.
non-stop. That's the thing. It's like I could continue. I'm not overly like a talkative person. I generally don't. But if somebody's talking to me about something that I want to talk about, I'm going to just keep talking about it. And then that will be like, oh, I like that part. Then I'll say something stupid and that will bring up another thought. So, you know.
Stream of consciousness.
There's
is good.
definitely more I could have spoke about some of the things, but it just kept cutting it
Yeah.
down.
I mean, it's the challenge. It's the ADHD hosting challenge, to be honest. Just like try to get any, like, nobody can stay on track, and then I can't keep people on track. So I can't keep myself on track. We didn't even try the crisps, the thing that was today's like new item, but it's fine. Fuck it. It was these vegan crisps that I got for James, so now he can enjoy them at his leisure. Gives a soundbite about how delicious they are.
Yum. They're crunchy.
Fab. So thank you for tuning in to Out on a Limb. We'll be back with another episode next month. Let's see if this lands up being 2, because we landed up recording for a very long time, or maybe I'll edit it.
I think you'll be able to cut this down to one solid.
One solid.
Aye, like it'll be one solid episode.
Once I take out all the stuff about, because there's literally 10-15 minutes at the start of us just talking about James's chili plants. So we can do that. But thank you very much for coming on.
No problem. It was fun doing it again. It's been a long time since I've done anything like this, but I genuinely, a fucking stream of consciousness, like you say. You just start talking and then you end up fucking talking about the next thing.
That's great. People will put this on to fall asleep to your dulcet tones.
Oh, I've heard that
I'll be
before.
like,
I've done like a very short radio course once, and the people in Clyde, the kind people of Clyde Radio said, "You've got a really good radio voice," and I was like, "I don't want to be on the radio, man." Like,
but
that
you've the
sounds
face
horrible.
for it, man.
What, to be hidden behind?
That's the joke.
No. Yeah.
Anyway, thanks. This has been Out on a Limb.
It's out on a limb.
We're out on a